Welcome to the 2016 presidential election race. November 8th is the day that our next presidential election will be held. But before the election can take place, many things must happen. Listen as we explain all the steps that are taken before any man or woman can become President of the United States. Candidates are the people who want to become President of the United States. They can be a man or a woman. They must be 35 years old and be born in the United States.
A president will earn the job by getting the most votes from the people of the United States. A president can keep his job for 4 years. He or she might run again to become president. They may not be president for more than 2 terms or 8 years.
These men and women start their campaigns about a year and a half before Election Day.
The candidates usually belong to one of the two groups in the U.S., the Democrats and the Republicans. The Democrats' symbol is a donkey and the Republican Party is represented by an elephant. There are more groups or parties that candidates can belong to. Candidates travel across the country to share their ideas for making our country great. They give speeches and interviews and also share their ideas on Facebook and Twitter. Presidential hopefuls also spend a lot of time raising money to pay for their campaigns. People, businesses, and organizations donate money to their favorite candidates. Money matters. Running a presidential campaign costs hundreds of millions of dollars. The more money candidates raise, the more they can spend on travel and advertising. The groups or parties called the Democrats and Republicans choose their candidates by holding special state elections called primaries and caucuses. After the primaries and caucuses, Democrats and Republicans each hold a national convention the summer before Election Day. Millions of Americans watch the conventions on TV. Their candidates give speeches to share their ideas on how they will help our country and its people. Now the race is really on. The candidates campaign almost around the clock from August to November. They visit state after state, give speech after speech, and appear in dozens of TV, radio, and internet ads. Candidates also work to get a lot of coverage on TV news shows and in newspapers and magazines. They want as many Americans as possible to know their names and their ideas on making our country great. The Democratic and Republican candidates face off in three TV debates. The vice presidential candidates meet in one debate. The debates are usually the only time voters get to see candidates square off face to face. People across the country watch the debates to see how candidates handle tough questions about our country. Election Day is November 8th. Millions of voters head to voting places such as schools, libraries, and government buildings to cast ballots for president and vice president.
Voting places open early in the morning and stay open into the evening because the U.S. has different time zones. The polls in the East close several hours before those in the West. The winner is often not known until early the next morning, and if the race is close, sometimes even longer.
On January 6th, Congress officially counts each state's electoral votes. The U.S. Vice President officially announces the results and declares which candidates have been elected president and vice president. January 20th marks the start of the new president's 4-year term. The new commander-in-chief takes the oath of the office on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. He or she promises to preserve, protect, and defend the U.S. Constitution. Then the new president gives a speech called the inaugural address, describing what he or she plans to do as our president. Millions of people line the streets in Washington, D.C. to watch the inaugural parade and see the new president ride or walk to the White House. Later that night, the president celebrates at big parties called inaugural balls. The new president moves into the White House to live with his or her family.
We will be electing a president very soon. The best known candidates are Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Donald Trump was born and lives in New York State. Trump is a wealthy businessman who made his fortune in real estate. His companies build luxury apartment buildings, hotels, and golf courses around the world. Trump represents the Republican Party. He was the star on the reality shows The Apprentice and Celebrity Apprentice. Trump has not held a political job. Trump has 5 children and 8 grandchildren.
Hillary Clinton represents the Democratic Party. Her home is in New York State. Her husband was our 42nd president. Hillary has 1 grown daughter, Chelsea, and 2 grandchildren. Her favorite movie is The Wizard of Oz.
Hillary Clinton served as the U.S. Secretary of State for 4 years. The Secretary of State is the President's top advisor on U.S. dealings with other countries. Clinton was a U.S. Senator from New York for 8 years. Hillary was the First Lady of the United States from 1993 to 2001. While her husband Bill Clinton was president, Hillary Clinton ran for president in 2008 but lost in the primaries to Barack Obama. If Hillary should win this election, she will be the first female U.S. president.
In order for a person to vote in the presidential election, they must be 18 years old and a United States citizen. At Country Parkway, we are taking this opportunity to hold our own election. Today, we are going to ask you to vote. Your votes will be counted and the winner announced.
Your teacher will ask you to line up at one of our voting booths. You will vote for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton.
Let the voting begin!